Sorry guys, we disabled the camera just to see if the bandwidth is going to be enough for this one. Now, I was saying that the NVOCCs has emerged as a type of carrier, as a term in the past 5 to 10 years or so. It's actually a company that doesn't really operate their own vessels, but they are very close, they are very similar to a shipping company in its own terms, on its own merits, and they do play in this context, they do play the role of the carrier. They do offer services from other parties like the shipping companies, rail companies, port terminal operators, air cargo, tracking, whatever. They offer uh, they offer these services, they offer these consolidated actual services to the end users, to the customers. At the end of the day, someone could say that an NVOCC is like a carrier to the shipper, and it's also a shipper to the carrier, which is actually a middleman on its own merits. However, usually NVOCCs, or at least the larger of them, the most significant, the stronger of these companies, are actually subsidiaries of large shipping companies or large, rather important conferences in the container domain, in the container transportation domain. But the thing is that what they are trying to do by this consolidation is they are trying to cut all the middlemen from this process so that they can streamline the services, and they can offer these services in cheaper with a cheaper price on less cost. On the other hand, freight forwarder is a more independent, if I could say so, role in the supply chain. And the freight forwarder usually is an agent that arranges the movement of cargo from their from their origin to a destination. Freight forwarders are actually they are actually not carriers like the shipping companies or the NVOCCs, but they are on again its own merits. They are middlemen up to a sense, and they coordinate the movement of cargo. They use services of other parties, just like the NVOCCs do, and they organize the entire transportation service provision. Now, differences, one might say that, well, these are pretty much similar one another. Well, they are similar in a sense, but at the end of the day, they have different roles that they take, that they adopt. NVOCCs are usually owners and operators for non-vessel assets, for example, containers or raw trailers or whatever might be pertinent to this transportation chain. And of course, as I said before, NVOCCs try to eliminate all, or at least as much as possible, the middlemen in this transportation chain. And in certain regulatory frameworks like the USA or EU on a certain extent, they are considered carriers, and they have the same regulations. They have the same regulations that the carrier has to have. On the other hand, freight forwarders may act as an agent or a partner for an NVOCC. The other way around is not common in any case. And these are the entities, these are the roles that gather all the required documentation for the cargo to enter a foreign country, all the documentation and the legalities, all the specificities, all the customs obligations, the customs formalities, and stuff like that. Now, a last issue that is relevant to what you said before, that the NVOCCs are considered to be carriers by many regulatory frameworks, is that they are, since they are considered to be carriers themselves, they have their own bills of lading, and this is sort of solving the issue of the isolated, the siloed bill of lading by creating, sort of speaking, combined bill of lading, or at the end of the day, in front of the eyes of the customer, he gets only one single bill of lading for the specific transportation of the service provision for his cargo. And followingly, the NVOCCs have to arrange pretty much everything in the supply chain now. They have to put together all the different agents, all the different formalities, everything that is pertinent to transporting a cargo, a product, a good to its end user. Now, similarly, in the supply chains, we have the logistics providers, the logistics service providers. Currently, we have 3PLs and 4PLs, although a lot of academicians these days suggest that these are terminology that it's not really, especially the 4PLs, that's not really used at the end of the day. But the idea behind those terms, we're going to see a diagram in the next slide. The idea is that the 3PL is the third party logistics provider, is actually an independent to the two entities, an independent entity that provides, that gives, that services the logistics needs of the companies. These 3PLs may take up all the logistics related activities. It may be a single service like a transportation or a delivery or a dispatch or whatever, or warehouse or pretty much everything, or, or it can be a bundle of a lot of different services that are required in order for the transportation to take place. Now, on the other hand, the 4PL is a company that arranges and coordinates the activity a firm, its client has, and the activities that it will contract out, it will outsource to 3PLs. At the end of the day, the 4PL is like an integrator. It accumulates different resources, it accumulates different capabilities, and it's like a consultant to the company. It's a consultant to the firm that puts together and provides and integrates the service provision. Now, what I want you to see over here, and what I want you to understand, how these ideas, how these terms are different one another. In the first, in the highest level, we have the cargo owners. It's like the manufacturing or retailing, the wholesalers, and all that stuff. They own the cargo. You also have the carriers, the second level in this chain, which is actually the transportation. In the third level, we have the logistics service providers, which provide the logistics services. They are contracted out between from the companies, and at the bottom level, we have the 4PLs, which consult the companies for their logistics needs. Now, we have many more different roles. Let's focus on some more here. When a ship arrives in a port, have a gazillion, as we said before, a gazillion of different needs and a gazillion of different roles and different stakeholders that take care of things in order for the ship to arrive safely, to be inspected, to unload or load, or both unload and load, and leave as soon as possible or as quickly as possible from the port. Now, some of these roles include the ship brokers, which is actually more closer to being a financial service, and they are intermediaries and negotiators between the ship owner, the guys that really own the ships, and the charterers that use the shippers that use the ship to transport cargo. We also have the ship agents. It's actually a representative of the shipping company or of any other different role in the transport chain. It works, of course, on behalf of the shipping company, and being a local representative means that it gets all the risk, it accumulates all the risk uh, from the ship operating in this port. We also have the cargo broker. His duties are similar to those of a shipping agent, I would say, of a ship broker. It, the cargo broker books cargo, informs the shipper about the cargo position or the availability, the loading times, the loading and unloading due times. It generally ensures that everything is in order before a cargo arrives or before a cargo leaves. Now, as you said before, the responsibilities of shipping agents include the following: ensuring a berth for the incoming ship, which is very important with the port, arranging for the pilot and the tags if necessary, drawing the documents and drafting the documents for customs and harbor services. Generally speaking, uh, completing all of the different formalities that are needed before and required before a ship arrives, during a ship stays in the port, and after a ship leaves the port. Again, arranging for the fresh water and the other provisions, the other stores that the ship may have, arranging other medical issues that may arise, uh, arranging for bunkers or electricity if need be, arranging for repairs for the ship and servicing of the ship itself, conveying instructions to the ship owner from the master, from the captain, or vice versa, organizing, of course, the supply, the transportation, the handling of the goods with the different brokers, the different freight forwarders, or the different NVOCCs, or whatever, organizing the necessary contacts with the stevedores if need be again, collecting freight and cargoes, also collecting freight, the money that is, in some of the cases, or if otherwise instructed, contacting shippers and the receivers of the goods that their goods have actually arrived and they are ready for dispatch or collection, and arranging any insurance issue may come up. Now, these are some roles and some activities with regards to the ship itself. Let's have a look in the port-related activities. So we have a ship, we have a container ship. It has arrived. The ship has arrived in the port, and there are a lot of different activities that have to take place in order for the containers, for the boxes themselves to be unloaded or loaded. Now, just to remind us all, the six different constituents, if you could say so, of the port, the main facilities that the container terminal includes. It has a quay, it has a container yard where the containers are put temporarily. It has container freight stations for inspections, for manipulations of the cargoes, for staffing and non-staffing the containers. It has the gate facilities, the entries and exits, interchange areas, and the rail heads or the track heads. You can see here in this figure all of these different facility sections in the container terminal facilities. For example, here we can see on the left picture, we can see a container terminal. We see the ship on the quay. We see the containers and the temporary storage, and then the freight stations, the railheads, and so on and so forth. On the right picture, you can see some automated systems, some automated vehicles that take containers and lead it to their temporary or its permanent position within the port system that is. Now, some activities that have to be done. Again, let me remind you all the reason I'm telling you all of these activities and all of these roles. Each and every role and each and every activity that we are discussing now brings a lot of or requires a lot of information. This is a lot of paperwork nowadays, or as you will see tomorrow, a lot of bits of data that have to be collected somehow, have to be monitored, and have to be fused to all the relevant stakeholders, all the relevant actors in the supply chain, in order for them to execute a seamless operation, a seamless transport operation. We can see here I'm describing 5 different activities within a container terminal, and all of these requires information from the agents that we discussed earlier, or from the shipping companies, or from the NVOCCs and the freight forwarders, and they also create new information, new data that have to be subsequently sent to the next node in the transportation chain. So, said that these main activities include the receipt or the delivery operations, receipt and delivery of the cargo or the containers by road, rail, or whichever else mode, packing, unpacking, container inspection, which is very crucial, especially for exports, and cleaning of the containers. Container stuffing, if the container is empty, you have to stuff it with the cargo, or the other way around, you have to unstuff it if required so by the customer. Container yard operations, where we store the containers either temporarily or more permanently, depending on the cost structure or on the fee structure that the container terminal has. And of course, the in-terminal movements. These are very important issues here. Why? Because the usual, let's look at the usual operation. You have a container that is that has just unloaded from a container vessel, and it's been led to its temporary storage position. This position is temporary. However, if it's stuck on top of another container that has to be collected today, then you have to perform, the container terminal, that is the operators in the container terminal, have to perform another in-terminal movement so as to take it from the top position, the container, get the container, the ultimate container that they are looking for, and then put it back on its temporary position. That's another in-terminal movement. It also creates a workload, and it also creates a lot of information, and too much information to be shared among the different stakeholders. This also happens in the quay. In the quay, we have a lot of transfer operations in the quay. Loading, discharging operations from to the ship. And of course, you have the ship operation itself, transfer of the container from the quay, and secure it on the ship, on the vessel. Now, said that, let's have a look at the main equipment that is used in the container ports. On the left, we can see an empty container handler, and on the right, you can see a rich stacker. It's a loaded container handler. Well, what's the difference between those two? Of course, it's actually the payload that they have. The one on your left can handle up to a couple of tons of equipment or so, or a little bit more than that. Whereas the second on your right, it can handle up to 30, if I remember correctly, tons. And at the end of the day, the main difference is the cost, of course, of these two. Both of them can put container up to 4 or 5 containers in height, and they are usually used in container terminals within ports or inland container terminals. Now, within ports, we also use straddle carriers, which are more robust compared to the previous ones, and usually stack containers up to 5 or 6 or 7, depending on the technology, on the generation positions. We also have rubber tired gantry cranes, which are used in the quay or in loading and unloading the trucks in the temporary or the more permanent positions within the ports. And we also have rubber tired gantry cranes for rail operations or rail tired gantry cranes. I'm not showing this. It's quite similar to this one. This is for loading and unloading the trucks or the vehicles. These are actually the intermodal interfaces of the port. The container is taken from the ship and it's transferred to a truck to continue on its ultimate destination. Now, other relevant to the vessel operations that are taking place in a port include pilotage. We usually have a person that comes on board the ship in order to pilot it to its place, to its position of the quay. In some in some of the ports, it is usually required for great many reasons. Regulations might have a different objective or a different origin, but the main case here is that you have to have a pilot on board in order to lead you to lead the ship to its position. We have port controls and port state controls, which includes all of the inspections of foreign usually ships in order to verify the formalities and to verify the legalities. For example, from simple issues like the competency of the master and the officers on board, the ship condition, the ship equipment and its status, according to international conventions like SOLAS, MARPOL, STCW, or any other convention that is relevant. We also have tags that help vessels move, and these go hand in hand with pilotage usually. We have small ships that can help ships maneuver, and they are especially required in crowded harbors or narrow canals, or in those cases that the ship cannot really move on its own. And as I said before, relevant, similar to the pilotage, some ports require tagging of ships, of vessels. Further on, we have freshwater deliveries to the ships. We have electricity provision or bunkering of the ship, ship handling or